All right, so we're officially live. I'm kind of I'm getting addicted to these YouTube lives. I'm really enjoying them, and I hope our community is too, because we do an episode every day, but this gives you guys a little bit of a different access or a different perspective into how the sausage is made, as Cage says. And also, guys, as you're in the comments, let us know what you want to hear. This is kind of a Q&A episode, so if there's something you want to know about, please let me know. So today we have Mr. Scott Greenberg on. And we've had Scott on before, but I'm really excited for this format because you guys have submitted questions and we're going to answer them right here on the air on today's episode. Scott is the CEO of Starstock, and we haven't spoken recently, but congratulations. They just got an awesome round of funding led by Andreessen Horowitz and some other VCs. So, Scott, welcome to the show. It's amazing to have you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on. I'm excited to chat with you guys.
And listen, before we get into questions, and we'll let Scott kind of do his whole deal. I want to take a minute just to kind of take stock of what we have going on here, right? Scott is running a platform. Starstock is running a platform. They're getting cards upon cards upon cards, right? Emails, you name it, questions, and there are people who, if we asked, hey, come on the show, come on YouTube, do a live. Who'd be like, I'm not doing that. All right, people ask questions. We have a customer service department. People want questions. They can send us an email and we'll get to them in due course. And what's better, he doesn't even know what we're asking him. Right? We have not given this guy advance notice. There's no fluffery going on here, YouTube world. We legit, we said, come on in 4:00 and we're going to hit you over the head with questions. And he's like, let's do it, and take a second to think about that, right? Because you don't get that from anyone, right? You don't get that kind of access. You don't get your questions directly answered. And, he's not going to pass. There is no skip round of these questions. So, you're going to ask a question, you're going to get real live, feedback and answers. Before we do that, before we get into the speed round of questions.
I thought I had one mulligan.
If you want, we'll give you a mulligan. I'll probably, maybe. We'll see. We'll see what the question is. I'll answer it for you if you have to take a mulligan. I'll just make something up. But so before we do that, right, anything going on? I mean, why don't you give, a 30-second kind of, state of the affair, state of the union at Starstock, if there's been any changes, where you see the company heading. That way the guys could hear it straight from you. I think that's important, if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah. Well, first off, Andrew, thanks for and Cage, thanks for the kind words, both you guys. We're excited about we just raised a new funding round, which is exciting. Will help us hopefully get to where we want to be. So it's not exciting until we actually put the capital to good use and continue to improve the business. On the other side of things, I feel like we've made a lot of progress. I think the two biggest areas people are interested in are, the product and the submission times. Submission times, we've been seeing some progress. We are through the bulk crazy January, December, even early February days where we were just getting a ridiculous amount of cards. We've been getting through those, which is great. Our submission times have improved over the past few weeks or so. I think regular sub times are down to 6 to 8 weeks, and fast pass is a week or less. I do think, however, the regular submission times are a little deceiving, as the 6 to 8 weeks is more kind of on a complete through date. And I think based on the amount of cards that we're able to process nowadays, it should be more maybe 4 to 6 or 4 or 5 weeks. But we'll certainly see there. And so making a lot of progress there. We've scaled that team up. We've been building new tools and stuff to help us process cards faster.
So Scott, if somebody's listening to this now, well, here we go. Someone's going to complain to me. I step on the guest. I didn't even let you get through your stuff. I don't even care. Because I know I'm trying to focus. If I were listening to this, if I were somebody who's watching this or listening to this, what if somebody's out there with 7 weeks or they're approaching 8 weeks? What would your suggestion be to them if somebody's sitting there 8 weeks and a half? I mean, you don't have a guaranteed 6 to 8 weeks, whatever it is. But if somebody's sitting there with 8 or 9 weeks, what's the best way for them to let you know that they are sitting there, longer than your approximate wait time? Is there an email? Should they email you guys?
Yeah, message support@starstock.com. We have a great customer service team. They're very responsive. They'll let you know what's going on. They'll try their best to give you an estimate as well. Often, there's a bunch of kind of one-off cases. Sometimes when we get someone that sends us 5,000 cards, none of them in penny sleeves, as you can read on our FAQ. Like, they're going to go straight to the back of the line. And so we'll frequently get emails like that where people are like, hey, what's going on with my cards? And we usually have an answer. And if not, we can look into it and try our best to get them an estimate.
Thanks for that. I didn't mean to cut you off, but guys, so if you're out there, they are not hiding. If you have something, question about your intake, you name it, you're heading towards that, the tail end of what they're telling you is the intake time, send them an email. And they'll walk through it with you, I'm sure.
Yeah, email's the best way. You can DM us on Instagram, DM us on Twitter. We get to those. Get in touch with us. Our team is happy to look through it for you.
And you can message us too. I got a message yesterday. Somebody told me, we dropped your name, Cage, in a support email, and I'm like, yeah, well, my name doesn't carry that much weight.
Smart guy.
So go ahead, man. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, I just, I think, we've made a lot of progress on the product in the past few weeks, which has been exciting. Typically you kind of see that happen in waves a little bit, and so. I think in the past 4 or 5 weeks or so, we've launched public profile pages, which has been really successful and exciting, allowing people to show off and showcase their collection to other people. You can keep your collection private if you want. We launched collection charts too, so people can track now their portfolio. And then obviously we launched vintage too, which is something that we're really, really excited about, and expanding out on the cards that we accept on our site. And so lots going on here. We're working our asses off, and we're excited for the next few months of baseball season into basketball playoffs, and then it seems like football season's right around the corner with the draft coming up in a few days.
Yep, 100%. So I have one question that I got to ask from a couple people because I'm close in proximity to you. When do you open up the Willy Wonka factory for me to come take a behind the scenes? We'll do some content from the Starstock facilities. Is that something I can do?
In time, yes. Yep.
Yes.
We're moving spaces here in Westchester. Like our ops team is moving spaces, and so we'll be in a much bigger area with just a lot of room, and we'll definitely when it's all set up and ready, we'll definitely open it up to some people to come in and check it out.
Nice. See that? You heard it here, folks. You heard it here first, guys. We're gonna get a behind the scenes tour. Augustus Gloop gonna take a tour of the factory. Scotty Wonka's gonna lead me around.
I'll be driving the boat, right? The boat that goes through the chocolate, or whatever it was.
I love it.
So first question. Mark's Cards asks, any idea when a mobile app might become available?
We're working on it. I don't have a timeline, but it's something that we're actively working on. I'd obviously like to see it sooner rather than later, but hopefully by sometime this fall we can have something out there. Don't know what it will look like, but it's an area that we're working on right now.
Well, if it's broken, you can just say it's in beta for 3 years, and then you're fine. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, well, yeah.
What do you think?
I was taking.
What do you think what do you think the mobile app might have? Like, for example, a submission tracker might be neat, right? And that could easily be shown on kind of like a user app interface.
Yep.
What are some features that you might want to see? I know it's early on the mobile app.
I think if when we launch the mobile app, and when we get that kind of first viable iteration out, we'll certainly look to pick features that are already on our web platform and move them over to mobile, rather than building new features into mobile and then over to web. So that's something that we've kind of been thinking through. On a separate note, the submission tracker is an area that we're also really looking at pretty seriously, and just like making that a lot more, just less friction, a lot easier to just make your submission, and then to also track it and see where you're at. So like what Cage said, if you're coming up on the 8 weeks time or whatever it is, you can kind of see where your status is. That's something we're working on, but we'll launch that on our web platform before mobile. I'd be really disappointed if we didn't have that before we had our mobile app launch.
I love it. So this is one of our fans that's tuned in live. This is a question right here from the comments. It's from the Card Collector. And Card Collector, maybe elaborate, because I do have a question about this. And he asks, do you think Starstock can become the #1 option for lower end base rookies that used to be going to PSA in bulk, but now are not because of the suspension of PSA services?
I hope so. I really hope so. I mean, we've done really well in that low end base card market. Like we've done very well there. We track that data. We track market share data, and it's an area that we do very well at. We've over the past several weeks, we've actually really done a great job of expanding our wheelhouse a little bit. We're selling more expensive cards now. I sold a $19,000 Curry card today, which I think is the highest sale that we've had on our site so far. And so we're just starting to see graded and wax really start to take off on our site. But we have a perfect platform, in my opinion, and a lot of others. We have a really great platform for base cards, especially for ungraded and raw ones. And so I certainly think so, the card collector. But I hope everybody else does too.
I do. I mean, you open up a box of Prism, you open up a box of Topps flagship, you get the rookies out of there that you can't send anywhere. Starstock is the place that you should be sending those. I did it. I sent my Top Series 1 stuff there. I sent my Prism basketball there. PSA's closed. And even when they are open, maybe one or two of the rookies are worth sending in now. Who knows what their pricing is going to be. And
at the very least, you can always send from us at a later point. So you send in a rookie that's mediocre, you get a Starstock A, in a year he turns into be a superstar. You can just transfer that over and get it graded at that later time, which is nice. And the other thing too is we've added sets like that. So specifically Prism, we've added into like a special kind of fast pass. And so if you write, Prism or PR on the outside of your box, you get those 1 week submission times as well. And so that's another, just another reason to hopefully send those cards into us.
This has been a question that came up maybe 3 times, maybe more. So I'm not even sure how to do the banner because it was asked a few times. I'm going to choose Rob. So he's asking, will you guys be accepting HGA or CSG graded cards if you're not doing it already?
We're not doing it already. We're open to anything. Like if there's demand, we're open to it. I went on a show like 6 months ago, I think, and I was getting asked by a bunch of hockey fans to add hockey to the site. And I was basically like, we'll add anything to the site when enough people ask us. That's what happened with soccer. And I think we're going to expand into a few other sports pretty soon as well. The hockey team hockey's definitely gotten into our DMs and our inboxes recently too. We haven't had that many people that have requested HGA or CSG cards. The original goal with Starstock was to take out, a lot of the friction and education that goes into buying a card and making it really easy. And I guess, the one argument against having HGA and CSG is then we have 6 different types of grades on our site. And so you'd go to a specific player like Zion, you'd be able to choose between a ton of different types of cards, but then you'd also have to choose between 6 different graders. And so I'd say unless if there's really a lot of demand there, we'd probably prefer to just keep it with PSA, BGS, and SGC. But if the demand, is there, then we'll certainly consider it. And if HGA takes over and becomes the number 1 or number 2 person or, whatever it is, then we'll obviously, have to do it. But at this moment, I think we're pretty happy with the grading companies that we accept on our site.
I love it. Hoops and cards. Hoops and cards had another question, Cage. You're going to like his second question a lot. I'll leave it as a surprise. But he first asked, Hoops and cards, do you guys think Starstock will ever carry non-rookie cards, like a second-year LeBron or a Zion, for example?
Maybe kind of a similar answer to the last one. Probably not in my head right now. I don't think we will. We definitely want to expand our checklist. We want to get into vintage. We want to get into new sports. We want to start accepting more, but there's only a handful of players that really demand much for a second year card. Obviously there's edge cases if it's super low pop or, whatever it is, first year of a specific set. But I think the goal with our site was to really kind of build out this stock market feel. And the rookie card is the athlete's stock. That's if you're investing in Zion, you want his rookie card. And so I think we're pretty keen to stick with that.
Makes sense, by the way. Listen, Starstock, guys. So, we've been partners with Scott for quite some time, and that's always been the message that they've been putting out there, right? You're trying to create a stock market for cards, right? So that's going to be two things. It's going to be the card for that player, right? So, that's why you might not see, Donruss acetate, see clearly Donruss hoops, non-premium, whatever it is, be accepted for players, right? Because there's just too many. You want to have the most liquid asset for someone, and that's a combination of something that's actually traded with some volume and the card for the person, right? So I'm not speaking for Scott, but I would expect it to remain a rookie only thing. I think that's where you're going to see the most demand. Obviously, he's already told you now in two answers. They're flexible. They'll work with whatever people want. Which, by the way, think about that. Who else is telling you that? Nobody. But keep in mind, go ahead, please, Scott, because you're the guest, man. Go for it.
We have a channel in our Slack that's just feedback from users, and we have dozens of messages that go in there every single day, and everybody on the team's commenting. We're talking, we're starring the ones that we really like. We're talking through all of the ideas, though. So honestly, with these past couple of ideas, send them our way. Love the questions, but send us an email with your thoughts on why we should accept second-year cards, and we're open to anything here, and we love having those discussions.
I think that's what makes our community so strong, doesn't it, Cage? We are guys that we go and we play around with Starstock, but we also take the time to think through it as we would be an owner. And hey, what if they did this? What if they did this? This could help other people. I think that's the power of the community, which is funny. The card collectors on here, and just because we're having fun and riffing, I don't know how to make this smaller. I'm going to do this. I'm going to move Scott up to the top left so it could cut off my face. He or she said, add a team section, just like your MLB emerging 20, but for each team. So take the 5 most valuable base rookies from each team and have the growth on it each week over week. So I don't know the business model of how you guys do that in the background, but I love that the community is so engaged and want to give their ideas.
I love that idea. I mean, we definitely want to expand out on the indices that we're building here. And so right now they're just player index or player indices. We can do teams, we can do by position, we can do by draft. There's so many different kind of data points that we could pull into the site. So I love this idea. I think it's brilliant.
Cage is going to buy all the Hornets players, though. He's just gonna unload on the Hornets top 5.
Fine by me. No competition over here.
That's it. I just buy Dwayne Bacon cards because I like his last name. That's it. I got a bunch of Dwayne Bacon rookies because I like bacon. That's the deal. But listen, guys, here's the other thing. That's a great suggestion, card collector. And who knows if it'll happen or not happen. But, these guys are willing to, take those suggestions and maybe even implement them. So, feedback, questions, you name it. Go ahead and send it to them. What was the next one? I think I saw Hoops and Cards again. It's got to be, why do I not like LeBron?
Cards fan asks, what's Starstock doing to get people to understand that Bs aren't bad cards?
It's a great question. We've been talking a lot about that recently. I think we need to get out there and talk about our grading system more. We want to do kind of a revamp on our FAQ that just shows better pictures. And then just, I think we put out a video maybe about 6 to 8 months ago, kind of breaking down the different grades. And I think following up on our YouTube account with a few more videos and just talking through the dynamic and the breakdown and the percentages would be really useful. And so it's something that we definitely want to do and can hopefully do soon, and just continue to create more content around it and provide data.
I love this question. Card fan 0803 might be the best question we get.
It's a really good question. It really is. And there's a lot of Bs that aren't bad cards. And so, but at the same time, they need to be Bs because they do have an issue. And, we have to stay strong with with our guidelines that we've set here. And so, but I think he's on to something, and I think it's an area that we can improve on and that we haven't been doing a good enough job of so far.
So guys, listen, messaging it out, and I'll help. I'll be the first one to message it out, right? So Starstock is trying to have you grade cards through them with PSA. That is one of the things they do, right? So you have the ability to do that. You can grade a card you buy from them. So they have to protect what a Starstock A is, because they want you, and anybody who's been on the platform knows a Starstock A carries a premium, and there's a reason for that. All right, that's because it is a premium card that Starstock is putting their grader's reputation on, that when you send that in, now it's no guarantee that you're getting a 10, but you are paying a premium for that card. You're not buying the same card that you'd buy raw on eBay. Someone has already done a third-party independent review on it, right? I'm looking at the questions.
Do you peep at the questions?
No, I don't see the questions, damn it. But the point is just
this is what repetition is like. Every day we do an episode, Cage could read my mind now. It's unbelievable.
Go ahead, ask the question because it's perfect.
And guys, we have Scott for about 5-10 more minutes. So this is gonna be exciting. Stay tuned. Also, after Scott leaves, we're gonna be doing our normal Starstock episode where we go through the index. Now we have 2 indexes to go through, NBA and MLB. And as Andrew predicted, MLB is what Starstock's for. I mean, these everyday games. Acuna, his card was going crazy. Then he hurt his abdominal. Let's hope he's back. But point is, stay tuned after Scott leaves because we're going to be doing our normal Starstock episode right after.
There's another good question. There's another very good question, Scott.
Yep. Get out. Seriously. Why? I can only imagine this as a high school girl, maybe going into 10th or 11th grade asking this with the triple Y. Really curious what makes a Starstock A better than a raw card on eBay. First, Cage is so confused, but you know exactly what I'm talking about. When they add all the Ys? Never mind. It's a Starstock episode.
I don't know. Maybe it's a baseball guy. Maybe he's a pitcher. Maybe it's he gets outs. Really sly outs. I mean, maybe he throws like a spitball. He gets outs really sly. I don't know. I'm not going to assume that it's a high school girl.
We love our entire community. It's just jokes. Really curious what makes a Starstock A better than a raw card on eBay. Scott?
I mean, I'm sure you could take a raw card on eBay. You could probably find one that looks better than a few Starstock A's that we have. But at the end of the day, we have a team that's looking through every single card that's coming through. Whereas on eBay, you'll find all sorts of stuff. Like on eBay, you might find the greatest raw card in the history of raw cards. It might be there, but you are also going to find the worst raw cards. You're going to find cards where you zoom in on the photos, corners, surface, edges, whatever it is, and you're going to think the card looks good. And then, it's going to show up in the mail and it's going to not. And there's no, there's tons of different ways that people are taking photos of these cards as well. And so sometimes you get a card that's in a top loader. You can't tell if the scratches are on the top loader, if the scratches are on the card, or if it's in a penny sleeve. And so we have people that are looking through every single card. It's, if you look around, you don't need to look too hard to see that most people have been complaining on the side of us being too strict on grading our cards or scoring our cards rather than the other way around. And so, if your raw card gets a Starstock A, it's a damn good card. It really is. And so there's damn good cards on eBay too, but there's also ones that are going to make you want to cry when you open up the package.
Guys, listen, the best way to explain this from me in 30 seconds, I want to get more Scott, is, people submit cards through submitters, right? And one of the things that gets offered is, I'll review your cards for you for $1 or $2 or whatever it is extra on top of it, right? And it's somebody who's seen a ton of cards, who's reviewing these cards and giving you that extra step and telling you, you shouldn't grade this one because it's probably going to get a PSA 8. Right, that is what Starstock is doing when they intake your cards. It's somebody that eBay doesn't do that, right? You can have anybody put whatever card it is up on eBay, and you're gambling. When you buy a Starstock A, someone has already scrutinized that card for you. That's the difference between buying a raw card and buying a Starstock A, 100,000%, and that's why it carries the premium that it does.
Yeah, and we've had a 93% 9 and 10 rate with the Starstock A card, which is pretty good. And I think one kind of misunderstanding when we put out that data was that a lot of people compared us to card grading platforms or people that, card submitters. But I think the better way to compare that data would be to compare it to eBay. And 93% of raw cards that you're buying on eBay are not coming back a PSA 9 or 10. We've done our own, we're actually in the process of doing some, testing on that and to see where it comes back. And it's not even close.
Well, you compare it now, and you're grading now, and I don't care what anybody says. It's harder now to get 9s and 10s. I'm getting a lot more 8s. I'm getting 6s. I never got 6s. I don't know where the heck these things are coming from. So to get 93% 9s and 10s in PSA coming back now is huge. That's very different than 9s and 10s even a few months ago.
Yeah, or even a few months ago. Yeah. Yep.
Scott, I'm curious, and we're going to wrap with one more question, but this is an investing question. Your employees and your team, how do you guys use Starstock? Are you also kind of investing in players? And if there's a tips of the trade or any, secrets or behind the scenes, what are you looking for to make someone to see if a player is now a buy?
Yeah. So yeah, we all use the site. We need to know what's good, what's bad, where are the pain points. We're also all card collectors and we love it. But we do have internal rules put into place on how many cards of a specific player you can hold, things like that. Even though, all the sales data is kind of right there in front of your face on Starstock. In terms of what I look for, I'm the type of guy that just usually really goes with my heart. I watch the games. I like to see the players that I just think are good. And then I'll go to the index, or, what I used to do prior to the index is I'd write them all out on a whiteboard, and I just see the numbers that don't make sense. So I can tell you one right now, and you can see where I'm going with my heart. Let me pull up to see what the current numbers are. But I'm telling you, RJ Barrett's for real. He's a player, and I think his card price is maybe a quarter to Ja Morant, and it just doesn't make any sense to me. So Ja's Starstock A went for 145 compared to RJ Barrett's 35. So, I mean, I think that's a little ridiculous. I think RJ has recently, I checked his stats last night. He's almost shooting 40% from 3. And I don't know if you guys remember, but through the first 15 games, he was 15%. And so that just shows you how well he's shooting the ball. He rebounds, assists. He's been clutch late in the games recently. The Knicks are on a 7-game winning streak. And so you can tell. I
smile on that guy's face. He's so happy. The Knicks' success this year might
be.
Well, listen, that $35 one is gone. So nice job.
Yeah, it's gone. What is it now?
It'll be gone in 30 seconds.
That's how I look at things.
So I want to layer on top of that question. How do you decide then when to buy a Starstock A versus a Starstock B versus a PSA 10 of that player? So we've established RJ is a buy, and I want to buy through Starstock. I'm not going to buy on eBay. I'm not going to buy a graded card. I want to buy right through Starstock. How do I decide if I should go a B, A, or a PSA 10?
Yeah. Well, I think for a lot of people, they just kind of have their own kind of thing that they like to do. I know a lot of people that would never buy a graded 10. They only want 9s because it's a little bit cheaper. They don't care about having the exact perfect gem mint card. So I know there's a lot of people on our site that love the Bs, and that also similarly to, that guy who asked the question earlier, they think it's super undervalued. So they could be on something. I think the best way is to just look at the data. And so take the PSA 10, take the Starstock A, take the Starstock B. Find what the correct ratio should be, or what the average ratio is between those 3 grades, and then go and find players that are outliers and that are just underneath that ratio. And so, I don't know where it's currently at, but if a B normally trades at 40% of an A, and you find a B that's trading at 10%, you're buying value there. I typically like to buy the A's because I hope that I can get it graded, or that if I want to get it graded, it come back with a gem or a near gem card. That's my opinion. I think it's to each their own. Everyone has their own kind of strategy.
I'm going to say it anyway. I wasn't sure if I should, but this is the power of the Luka Nation community, and I don't think it would do justice if I kept this inside. So we have thousands of listeners at this point. We have a Starstock group, And this is what our community does. They take liberties and they want to see what will happen if I do X. Well, a few of our guys took and bought Starstock Bs, had them
Here
sent
comes your
home.
mulligan. Here comes your mulligan.
This is a statement, not a question. So they bought Starstock Bs, they took them and they sent them home, and then they subbed them with SGC. They got an overwhelming amount of 9.5s.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. That shows the quality of Starstock Bs, in my opinion.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, here's one thing I'll say too, is like we didn't create our system based on PSA or SGC or, it's not like we're sitting here and we're cracking slabs on the weekends and we're like, ooh, like, here's what SGC's cards look like. And this is like, we have our own system where that, like, we think this is what a good card looks like. This is how we want to, score them. And that's how it's done. I think, we've been live not even a year. And so I'd be lying to you guys if I came here and I was like, look, we got a grading system 110% nailed down and we're never going to make any changes to it. We're never going to need to adjust anything. Like, we've been live for about 11 months. We've probably gotten more cards in the past 2 or 3 months than we got in the first 9. And so, like, we've been looking at the data. We've been spending a lot of time refining the process. And I think when we launched, we were too lenient. Then I think, maybe a couple months ago, we were a little bit too strict. And I think what people will start to see is that we're going to find a really good sweet spot. But that's good data to know. And I'd love when people do these breakdowns. Sometimes they send them over to us. I'd love, whoever's got their hands on that. I'd love to see it. And I do have to run, but I do see a couple card collector comments coming in that are pretty interesting that I do want to address.
Go for it.
I'm reading this second
Scott
one.
could be a regular on the show. He knows how StreamYard works. He could carry this.
So, the reason why this hit home for me, card collector, is like, so here's how I think about the hobby. I think there's traders, there's investors, and there's collectors. I think our product is awesome for traders, maybe the best out there. I think it's pretty good for investors, and hopefully we can continue to improve. And we really want to improve for collectors too. We really, really do. I think that's one thing that people don't realize is, like, they think we're all about investing and quick flips. And we really want to help people build out their collection. We feel like we have a really unique product where we can integrate things that can help them find gaps, help them complete the rainbow, help them, buy every single card of a specific player on Starstock. There's so many things we can do. And so, when I saw the comment from Card Collector, we're not going to introduce something similar for collectors. We just need to make Starstock better for collectors. And so, feedback, like, I'd love to hear your thoughts, your ideas, ways we can do that. We're starting to look a lot at the collection mechanics. So we launched collection charts the other day, which is pretty cool. Allows you to see how your cards are performing over time. Allows you to break it down by sport. I think one area that we're really slacking on right now, just better seller tools. There's some sellers out there that have thousands of cards on our site. It's really hard to relist and do things like that. And so we're going to spend a lot of our focus on that as well. But we really want to, make this product work for everyone in the hobby. So if you're a big time collector, but you don't love flipping, and you wish that there was a Starstock for collecting, let's make the Starstock that we have right now really good for collecting too.
So what are some ideas, Scott? Like a registry or, something like that, for collectors to maintain their collection on there? I mean, I have a ton of ideas.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot we can do. I think, one thing that I think we're in an amazing position to do is we have over 1 million cards on our site. And so if you have 10 of the 15 parallels of a specific player, you're going for the RJ Barrett rainbow, like, you can go to RJ's Prism base and you can scroll all the way down to the bottom. We show you all the other parallels. And so we have kind of a unique position where we can show you, hey, here's what you got, here's what you need. And we can, have kind of collection mechanics, or we can gamify things to make it more fun, badges, all sorts of stuff. I mean, it's a million ideas that we have on our board that we'd like to do. And so it's just a matter of figuring out what's the most important. But I'm sure that, your members that are in the comments here probably have better ideas than we do. And so that's why I come on here and I'm just like, please share everything that you got with us.
Yep, that's perfect.
I'll let you go with right here. Okay, 60 seconds or less, Scott. This is, every single year in the NBA, there's a team that you really want to root for. And I can't believe I'm saying this. The Knicks are that team. Give me your playoff prediction for them. 7 wins, freaking exciting, awesome team. Julius Randle emergence. RJ, I agree. I love IQ. Derrick Rose is back. What's your prediction for them in the playoffs? Badges would be awesome. Agreed.
Yeah. Card collector, hit us up, dude. Contact at Starstocks. Send us all your ideas.
You just got a job, card collector. That's the power of Luka Nation Network Lives. You basically now have a job as
he's a beast. Card collector's a beast. What do I? I think we can win a series. We'll see. I mean, it's good. The weird thing with the East right now is it's like, where are the Celtics going to land? Where there's some good teams that are going to be on that bottom half. I don't know. Like, we can win. We can, we all know that the Knicks can lose in the playoffs, and we all know that the Knicks might not make the playoffs. So I'm just I'm really enjoying day by day. I'm just enjoying watching the games, and every time we win gives me like 24 or 48 hours of like this nice high. And I've had it for
you've been high for like 3 weeks straight then.
I know. So if they're,
before 20, I guess. Just kidding.
If things start slowing down with Starstock, you can blame the Knicks because I'm rushing home to watch the games. No, it's just fun. I really don't know what's going to happen in the playoffs, but to some extent, I don't really care. Like, it'd be fun to win a series, but like the way I am is like, you win the championship or you don't. I don't like. Winning a series would be fun, but I don't care.
The Brooklyn Nets in a series. That's what I'm looking forward to.
If we played the Nets, that'd be a blast. And if we found a way to beat them, that's something I'd take back my previous comment. I'd be all about that.
Yeah.
Right.
You don't have to win a championship, but if you beat the Nets, that's okay.
Yeah,
that's
won the New York
moral victory.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Scott, we'll let you go. Email to support@starstock.com.
Support for support questions, contact if you want to just hit us up for anything, careers if you're interested in a job, shoot us a DM. If you forget the email in 2 weeks, just shoot us a DM and ask us what our email is, or just ask us whatever questions you have on Instagram.
Is that right there? Support@starstock.com.
Yeah, exactly.
Perfect.
Appreciate you, man. Guys, we'll stay on. Cage and I will riff a little bit. We'll go over the previous week's data.
Thanks, Scott.
Catch you guys later. Thanks for having me on. See ya.
These are fun, Cage. So I got a question for you.
This is a cool thing, right? It comes on. We didn't give any kind of advance notice, no nothing, right? And there are things they want to work on, and they tell you right off the bat. We're not perfect. We're working on it, and thanks for your suggestions. Keep them coming. Where else? I don't want your suggestions. I think I'm perfect. So
he just literally told me to stop giving him suggestions.
Yeah, so. I don't want any of your suggestions, because no matter how many times you tell me, I'm not getting weird sun-shaped spiky mirrors behind my head for when we go live. I'm just not going to do it.
It's funny that you think that these are that. Well, I just think they're basic mirrors. Plus, on my favorite accent wall. Cage, you got a question that's so up your alley, it couldn't be more.
Whoa. Trey Young card.
Trey Young, a buy before the playoffs.
Daryl. Trey Young has gotten so cheap that I'm going to say yes. It is one of those things where his cards are the downside risk to them are so low compared to the potential upside. If they make the playoffs and he drops 40 points in a playoff game, the cards will not be where they are now. And is that so far out of the realm of possibility? No. That's definitely a reasonable thing. And the Hawks, they're playing good team ball. I don't want to say they remind me of last year's Miami, but they remind me of last year's Miami a little. Yeah. And what that can do when you have depth and when you have players at every position. There is a very strong possibility of all of the main guys that we talk about, the 4 of them, Zion, Trey, Luka, and Ja, that Trey will be the last man standing. Last year he was out. Last year he didn't make it into the bubble. The team was so bad, right? So you want to talk about obviously improving this year. They're going to make the playoffs most likely. And he has a shot to, be playing meaningful games longer than any of those other 3. And when people start to pick up and start buying cards for that playoff run, he's somebody you have to look at. And his cards have just been beaten down so badly. So, great question.
Cage, let's go over this data just a little bit. Nothing too much. Baseball overtook basketball. Baseball is at 45% of all the sales. Basketball is now below 40, and football is at 15. We got top series 1. Baseball is number 1 on the top 5 brands by sale. Top 5 teams by sales value. Braves and Blue Jays are at the top, and that's partially because of Acuna, Vlad Guerrero, Bo Bichette. My guy AJ Puck is still at the top 5 players by sales count. NBA emerging index is flattening out. It's down 0.5%. The MLB emerging index is up 1.5%, with Bo Bichette being the biggest gainer at 50%. Rafael Devers, Cage. I've been seeing his cards hit some pretty high numbers. And I'm talking about just the card market on eBay. You know baseball. What do you think about this guy? He's a good prospect, young kid?
I do. I like Devers. Not a good prospect or a young kid. I mean, he was somebody I've given as a play a couple times on our show. He's got his Topps rookie pretty cheap. It's one of them you could buy for like $20, 25, 28, something like that in PSA 10 not so long ago. But really why you're seeing his stuff go up is Boston doesn't really have that many players right now. They don't have great pitchers. They lost their entire outfield in the offseason. Alex Verdugo came over in the trade from the Dodgers, and he's playing really well. They obviously still have JD Martinez, and he's playing well, but Devers has become like that young, face of the franchise sort of player. And the Red Sox, after starting off, 0-3 and being swept in the beginning of the season by the Orioles, I think they ran off 9 straight wins or something after that. They really turned it on. They're playing good ball. He's playing solid ball, and it's to be expected. When your team is first place in the division, and you're hitting. See, glad I got Devers rookie auto. So I, of course, gave up on Devers before the season. I was like, let me get rid of all my Devers autos, and I had a Devers top PSA 10s, and I had a lot of them. So it's a lot of fun.
You guys listening? Following at Baseball Authority on Instagram is a must. Guys, this is like the inside scoop behind who's going to be a success in baseball with fire highlights. Make sure to follow at Baseball Authority. Super simple to spell that on Instagram. And shoot him a DM because he'll help you out. He'll let you know who's under the radar. What's so funny? I don't know.
Because our team is messaging me that because of the glare, you look like you got a halo. You're an angel, and I'm in heaven. Because I got all this glare behind me, so they're giving me crap. I gotta lean down a little bit so you can see a little less glare. So it's fun stuff. You guys are funny.
We are where we are because we have a great team behind us. Cam 26. So sorry, I just saw your question. So sorry I'm late to this. No problem, Cam. I appreciate you joining us. Did Scott talk about how far behind they are on loading cards? Cage, do you remember if Scott said anything about this?
100%. He most definitely did. So they've actually caught up a little bit. They're saying that their Fast Pass, which now includes not just PSA, not just graded cards and wax, but also Prism Basketball, is in their Fast Pass. It's about a one week turnaround on those. The remaining cards, they're saying 6 to 8 weeks, but they're actually seeing now that they're getting a little more caught up, and it's closer to 4 to 6 weeks. But Cam 26, with a question like that, leads me to believe that you might be sitting, at that window or beyond. And I specifically asked Scott during the beginning here, if there's somebody out there like a Cam 26 who might be sitting at the edge of that window, the indicated time, or maybe even you're in week 9. What would somebody like that do? And what he said was email support@starstock.com. Give them your information, tell them when you sent it in, and they will pull it. They'll take a look at it and find out what the reason for the delay is. And what he specifically said was if you sent in 5,000 cards in a box with no penny sleeves, just kind of, bouncing around, your stuff probably got moved to the end of the line because we didn't follow the instructions on the website of how to send them in. So barring something like that, if you're at the edge of that 6 to 8 week window, what I would say is, again, support@starstock.com, and they'll find it for you.
Gavin Lux, 30% drop week over week. Is this did he get sent down, or is he in the lineup for the Dodgers?
No, he's in the lineup and he was playing well. But those are exactly the Kobe White type of cards where we saw the 25% down and then we buy him and then the next week he's 25% up. Same exact thing will happen. Another good example of that is Tatis is now back, and as long as he stops committing an error a game, his cards bounce right back up from where they were.
What's the deal with that? Give me your put on your manager hat. Why is Tatis? He's supposed to be one of the best shortstops in the game, right? He's actually a defensive player.
So not really. I would say when he came up, people thought he might have been a defensive liability, but last season he actually played a positive defense. He actually played a pretty good defense and didn't have too many errors. I remember talk of him when he was coming up about whether or not he was going to be able to last at shortstop, or whether or not they were going to have to move him from there. But it seemed like last year he kind of figured it out. Remember, it was a short season. Look, Starstocks, send an email to support or DM us on Instagram or Twitter. We love it. There you go, guys. But yeah, so what's the deal there? Who knows? I mean, maybe he's not 100%, back. Maybe
he had 2 errors the first game of the season too, so it was even before that shoulder injury.
Listen, sometimes errors are a little, misleading, right? So there are people. So somebody like Derek Jeter didn't make a lot of errors, but I wouldn't say he was a very good defensive shortstop. He made crazy plays. He made a lot of that jump throw and you name it. But he didn't have the range. And maybe Tatis has range. He's a lengthy guy. Maybe he's getting to balls and then trying to make a play and is getting errors on those kind of plays. That's I'd have to look at some of the plays. Some of the ones that I've seen, it's because he just got to a ball that I wouldn't get to. I'll tell you that much. And he bounces up and he's throwing it, and then it's a throwing error. So.
Where would you play? Where do you see yourself in the lineup, Cage? Are you DH? Are you a catcher?
I would have to play either first base or catcher. I'd need to be close to the stands. With these nets now, it would mess everything up because I need to be able to yo, hot dog and a beer. I need to be able to let's go. I need a hot dog.
I didn't see that. I thought you wanted to throw the ball to the kids.
No, I can't be like second base. Second base is too far. Like the hot dog guy, the peanut guy's not going to hear me. I'm like, yo, peanuts. Be a man. Hey, be a guy. They're not going to hear me. I got to be close to the concession.
So you guys know I'm not a baseball guy. I want to talk about one last player. We're going to wrap here because this is 45 minutes. You guys got a special here with Scott in the first 30 minutes of the episode, answering all your questions, a little riffing with Cage and I. And don't forget, guys, you're watching this live, but if you go and rewatch it, Conrad does an amazing job on a weekly basis breaking down the NBA index and going into detail. So, we've gotten messages from our community already of how much that's helped them make the right plays investing. So make sure, even if you were on the live, to come back and tune into that. So I go, and I know there's this guy, Louis Robert, but it's actually Robert. He's French, I believe. And he's not. I am not getting any laughs from Cage today. No big deal. But his cards were down 18%. Over last week. And to me, he seems like a bounce back hand. And I look at pictures of him because I want to see who is this guy. This guy's 20 years old. He's built like a brick. He's 6'3", huge shoulders, huge. What's the deal with this guy? Wasn't he the big prospect last year?
To say that he has had a disappointing start, I call him Lou Bob just because it's easy, right? Okay. So to say that he's had a disappointing start to the season is an understatement. And he's just not playing well. And when you combine that with the fact that, there are group subbers out there, right, that publish information about what they're submitting to PSA over the last 2 months, 4 months, 6 months, you name it. When you combine the fact that he's had a real ice cold start with, he's like the most submitted baseball card out there. Right now. So PSA has got a ton of his stuff coming back eventually whenever PSA starts sending stuff back. But you're gonna see the pops increase on his stuff. And when you combine that with the fact that he really has started off this season ice cold, got a little less protection in the lineup. Who was it? Eloy Jimenez, right? He was the one who went over the fence to try to pull a home run catch back in and messed his whole shoulder up. So the lineup's, just slightly weaker than it was. But yeah, you look at his stats, he has not started off well. But yes, if your question is he a bounce back candidate? 100%, because he's the kind of guy who can go on hit 5-6 home runs in a week, no problem, and just turn the ship right around. Some people are slow starters. I'm going to show my age here, but I was a Mark Teixeira guy when he was on Texas and the Yankees. And that dude couldn't hit 200 in April. But by the end of the season, his average was, up to 280, 290 because he just turned it on after that. He was one of those guys that I would just bench for April if he could, but they eventually get to the back of their baseball card is what people would say.
You seen, so that's a great point. I'll bring Kyle Hendricks. His number, he's the pitcher for the Cubs, right? I think he kind of is like a slow ball pitcher. He's not going to overpower you. And this, I mean, there's maybe mental stuff, but it's also the weather and things like that, I assume. But like in April, he is god awful. And then after April, he's almost unhittable, it's so interesting how baseball works.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, some of it's mental because they know that. If the stats out there and you know it, then they know it. I remember watching Roger Clemens pitch as a Yankee, and I used to say, if he gets out of the first inning, he's going to have a good game. Because he would just get, for whatever reason, I don't know if he needed to warm up longer or what the story was, but when he pitched for the Yankees, if he got shelled, he was getting shelled early. And, maybe he just, I don't need to warm up, but he should have, because it took him that first inning of, quote, warm up to get real ready. And maybe it's the same. Chicago is not exactly warm in April. Some people, they need to warm up a bit. So, it would not surprise me if that's the case.
You know what wouldn't surprise me? It wouldn't surprise me if we created our own show to talk about baseball. I have a feeling, I have a hunch, and Luka Nation, let me know if that's something you guys would be interested in, because baseball, it's its own beast. There's games every day, and I'll put this out there because I believe in this wholeheartedly. There's not a single guy out there that could lead a show and knows baseball like my co-host. So if you guys want to see a baseball show, I think we might be working on something. So. Cage,
sure.
Any final words? Sure. Any final words before we wrap?
No, listen, guys. What you get from the partnership we have with Starstock, obviously, is they are not shying away from anything. They're coming on here. They're doing live. They're answering questions. They're in the comments telling you to reach out to them. So that means they're not just a partner with us. They're a partner with each and every one of you who sends cards into them. They're somebody who is there. They're building that platform. They're less than a year in their existence. And there are a lot of people in this community in Luka Nation listening to this, watching this, who have great ideas, who have collected, who have thought to themselves, I wish somebody would create a platform that did X, Y, Z, and maybe that is something as simple as, somebody who collects these 10 Zion cards gets a free Zion. Who the heck knows? Or gets $1 in their Starstock account or whatever it may be, like a challenge, monthly challenge. Everybody who at this date owns these 5 Zion cards gets, this. Who knows? I mean, it's just an idea I thought of right now as I'm talking. Point being, they want to hear from you because they understand that with you working with them, they make the platform better for everyone. So we appreciate you coming on here. We appreciate you guys asking questions. We appreciate the feedback that you're giving us and we give them. And I want to say thank you to Starstock for doing that, for making themselves available, for coming on a show like this and not kind of hiding and saying we know better than you guys. Because it takes a certain kind of company, a certain kind of people to sit down and say, the collecting community has been collecting for a long time. They have the info and they know what they want to make this thing better. And guys, they're listening. So.
Love you guys. Appreciate you all.